And we are live. What is going on, legend? But welcome back to Beyond the 90. We're doing a video that's not about Leicester for once. We've got my friend, again, great friend of mine, Niall. Niall, well, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. Again, well, we've got something to talk about in terms of Wales and get your preview on that and how you think the group's going to go. But just first of all, how are you feeling about Wales being in the World Cup?
Very proud, first of all. It's something that we haven't done since 1958. So certainly my generation will have never seen it, and we may never see it again. Who knows? But as a nation of 3 million people, non-football fans, football fans, we're all just so proud to be involved and hopefully make a good account of ourselves at the tournament itself.
Yeah. And I think, again, you were just mentioning a little bit off camera as well about, because again, we have that as Leicester fans. There's like a nice community around us. And you were mentioning it's something quite similar in terms of that with Wales.
Yeah, 100%. From Gary Speed onward, I'd say he very much instilled like a culture at Wales where it's more of a club feel. You go there and you don't think you're watching your country. You're sitting in the stands. You're chatting to the same faces. We've all got the bucket hats on and everything. It's a very club feel, and it's something that the players feel as well on the pitch. It's like they're just going for a kickabout with their mates, and us in the stands are just enjoying watching it with our mates as well. It's a great culture that I don't think many other countries have, and I think we're immensely lucky to have that at Wales.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that, not in terms of England, but especially in terms of, again, in terms of Leicester and having that community around as well, which is great to hear. And I think one thing I want to touch on straight away is obviously one of the players that we have in common, which is Danny Ward. I mean,
Yeah.
you must have probably been paying attention to him this season. He had literally two seasons of completely different. He's gone from being one of the worst keepers that people wouldn't have a second keeper to being now top clean sheet. But just want to get your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I mean, for Wales, we can't fault him really. I mean, every game he's played for us, more or less, he's turned up. He does a really good job. Like you say, shaky start to the season at club level with Leicester, but it's a hard situation to be in. You've got to keep like Kasper Schmeichel leaving. Was it on deadline day or near about?
Pretty much.
It was very, very late on in the window, and for any keeper who has been number two to Kasper Schmeichel for a long time, it's going to be hard to instantly step up into that level. But 6 clean sheets for Leicester this season. They get some good sides as well. No, we are. He's a great keeper. We love him at Wales, obviously, and I think it's one of the only areas of the pitch which doesn't pick itself in a way. We got a lot of great players, especially up top. But Wayne Hennessy, Danny Ward is a real question mark. And I think if you asked most Wales fans who you'd pick out of those two, you'd be split down the middle 50-50. So
really?
they're both, really, they're both reliable blokes, really good in the sticks. Big occasions they played for us, and we can count on them both.
Yeah, and I think especially as Leicester fans, we were looking at that for the last Euros, and we were going, right, Danny Ward should deserve more of an opportunity, but for Wales especially, he absolutely smashed it. I remember.
Yeah, I know, and I think that goes back to the culture again. I think a lot of these players go from their clubs to Wales, and it's a bit much more relaxed environment. Premier League games come in thick and fast against top sides. I think at international level, it's almost a bit more, not more relaxed, but like I said earlier, because it's more playing with your mates. These boys have come up through the system with each other through the youth. I think it does settle a lot of the players down, and these, like I say, the game against Austria and the game against Ukraine to qualify for the World Cup, massive occasions. You look out on the pitch, and not a single one of those boys are phased, and they just put on a hell of a show again. So I'm not worried about occasions or anything.
Fair enough. And again, we speak about the occasion, obviously, it being World Cup the first time in so long, in 64 years, as you're mentioning. Is it weird that this unites kind of Cardiff and Swansea? Because again, speaking with you in person, again, you're at each other's throats when it comes to when you come into like league football.
Yeah. No, none of that at international level. I think it's a very unwritten rule in the international games. I've been to plenty of games where I've sat next to a Cardiff fan. They've told me, diehard Cardiff fan, I'll tell them I'm a Swans fan. But when we've both got the Wales shirt on, I know it sounds cliche, but it really does like unite everyone. And it's very, very rare things happen in the international games where a rival set of fan will kick off, but it's very much a united feel. I mean, our motto is together stronger. So if we had disobeyed that, then what sort of fans would we be?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, but you see it all the time when something says something and then it does something else. So it's good that that is not the case. But I think I was reading as well about Gareth Bale recently going, this is going to be he's really, because he wants to, again, inspire the next generation to go on to it. I think, will this be his last kind of, maybe his last World Cup and potentially his last international tournament?
Well, more likely last World Cup, but in terms of last tournament, I'd like to think not. But you look at him where he's playing now, how old he is. He's a really fit bloke, so fitness isn't really a massive issue. But our next tournament could potentially be Euro 2026. No, Euro 2024.
24.
Yeah, 24 in Germany. So it's not a million miles away, but like you say, his role now is very much sort of he's like the teacher of the group. You see these young lads coming in, and I've heard he's really, really good with them. Settle them in really, really well. And obviously, I don't need to tell you how good he is on the pitch. That game against Ukraine and against Austria, when it really mattered. He's the type of guy that he stood over a free kick, and I wouldn't have anyone else in the world stood over that free kick and expected to go in, but he somehow pulls it off again and again and again.
Yeah, and again, he did it against England in the Euros, didn't? Or what? No, it was Euros, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was. He made that 1-0, and obviously we all know what happened then. I'm not going to talk about that now. Still hurts.
Fair enough. And just coming on to that as well, would you say that who would be your biggest rival, kind of at the World Cup?
England for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, the rivalry has always been there. There's always been a very big rivalry between the two. We always feel like you've looked down on us and goes, oh, it's only Wales, but especially the last sort of decade at least, we have really been starting to like knock on the door and be like, look, we are still here. But I really don't think it's the most important game of the group stage for us, though, in terms of a football, in footballing terms. I would say it's definitely that first game against USA, but rivalry, it's 100% England. That's going to be the game that we're all looking forward to. But
I think it's the last game of the group as well.
Sorry,
it's the last game of the group, I think, as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so we're hoping kind of to go into that group with nothing riding on it. We don't want to go into that game with the scenario of, right, we have to beat England to go through. We won the group done and dusted before then, and then just enjoy the game. Or if it does come to it, then I'm sure we'll turn up. But again, because of the rivalry, I'd rather it be done and dusted by then.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think a lot, again, considering that was my next point, actually coming on to that. Obviously, your first match is against the US.
Yeah.
For me, that's going to be a really, as a neutral, that's going to be a really interesting game to watch, kind of, because that's two kind of up and coming teams, both very young squads, and
very.
You're looking, you're going, right, anything could happen, and that's why we quite like the World Cup.
Yeah, I think, like you say, the USA, they're a very young and fit team. They'll run for 90 minutes non-stop. They've got some good players in there. They've got Dest from AC Milan. They've got Reina from Dortmund, Pulisic from Chelsea. They've got some really good players. No pushovers at all. But I think there's something like 16th in the rankings as well. I think they're higher than us in the rankings. But
really,
yeah. But yeah, like you say, they're a very fit team, and I think it is going to be a very close game. Like you say, two fit sides going at it, young sides. I think it'll be a really good game.
Yeah, and again, that again. Hopefully, it settles the mood earlier as well. And I think coming into that, has there been any before this match? Again, bearing in mind we've just broken up for like the Championship and League One and Premiership just like last week, but has there been any friendlies, and how have they been? Because some matches, I think England haven't played any, but some people have been playing them.
We've had the Nations League, which didn't go amazing for us, I will say. We had a really tough group. We had the Netherlands, Belgium, and someone else. Can't remember now. But Basically, we turned up to every game, and it was late goals that would do us in, or but yeah, we're confident regardless. Our form isn't amazing going into the World Cup, but we were against some really, really tough sides in the Nations League. I didn't keep up with how England were doing. Did they play many games prior to the World Cup?
I'm not a very big England fan, to be honest with you. We lost 4-0 to Hungary, then we drew.
Yeah,
It's not been good. It's
I
not been
remember
good.
that one.
So
Yeah,
you're playing us at a good time where, on paper, this is a typical England thing where on paper we're phenomenal. We're one of the
yeah,
best teams. But in terms of how we play together and the management and the defensive coaching that's just not getting the best out of attacking players, I don't rate us, but that's kind of maybe the English pessimism in me as well.
yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I look at your team sheet or your squad list, and I think, Christ, there are some really, really good individuals in there. And I think, Euro 2020 was, you had a really good team there. And I thought, oh, God, maybe it is now starting to gel. Maybe England have got over that curse in a way of having such a good, squad and not really ever doing anything with it. I mean, you look back in like the World Cups in like 2006, 2010, you had like Gerrard, Rooney, Scholes, Lampard, Terry. And I just think, like, how haven't that team won anything really?
They didn't qualify for the Euros one year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, and
So it's the golden
honestly,
generation. I think Beckham was part of that as well.
yeah, because there was that game as well where he scored that free kick in, I can't remember what it was,
Greece?
Ellen Road. It might have been something like that.
Yeah, it was against
Literally
Greece.
last kick of the game and sent you to the Euros, and that a team like that shouldn't be qualifying that late. But
Yeah.
yeah, there are some strange choices in that squad list for me though. For England, I think to
Mhm.
leave Ivan Toney out is a big, big risk.
Mhm.
With the form he's in. We all saw him play against Man City the other day, top striker on his day. But I don't know if any of this gambling thing has got anything to do with it. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
I think so. I think it must have. But also, there's always a bias towards bigger clubs and bigger teams anyway. And I don't think he'll play, even if he was included in the squad. It's just Harry Kane, Golden Boy, all the way.
He is the type
And
of guy, though, that you'd want to bring off the bench, isn't it? Like, when
yeah,
defenders are getting a bit tired, Ivan Toney would be the perfect striker. He's a bit rough in the sense that he likes to rough players about. He can
Mhm.
score. He's quick. He's strong. I just can't believe he hasn't gone. And no disrespect to Callum Wilson, but I
Yeah,
can't see how he gets on that plane over Ivan Toney, unless, like I say, it is something to do with this FA investigation. We don't know.
potentially. And I think as well with Callum Wilson's got a little bit more experience at the international level. But again, I'm
Yeah,
not
but not a
with
lot more, I would say.
no. But I'm surprised that Madison was taken again. I don't think Madison will play much, but there's from Leicester. I think as well. We come back to Tony. I think he was one of the players. You always have the team for your player. Go, oh, he came for a trial at us, and we said no. Ivan Tony was one of those for Leicester.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. It
Oh
was a few
God.
years back, but yeah, we let him go. Che Adams was another one as well.
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
so there's been a few, but again, normally we've got our things right, our recruitment right, and just in terms of again some of the people that we're mentioning again, some of the players again looking through the squad that you've got, like Brennan Johnson, I think
Yeah.
he could be a player for you that would really unlock a team, and like there's some for me, there's a few real gems in here that if they turn on, you guys are just like 2016, you guys can go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Brennan Johnson's a perfect example. He's almost come out of nowhere recently.
Mhm.
Forest were having a torrid season in the Championship, and Steve Cooper comes in. I don't know what the hell he's done, but someone like Brennan Johnson, no one really knew who he was 2 years ago, and now he's a very hot topic. He's a phenomenal player. We're very, very happy to have him. And yeah, like you say, he could. I've heard a lot of people say this could be a tournament, but that really puts him on the map.
Yeah.
And if you just look at our attackers, there's a lot of our strength is in attack for sure.
Yeah.
I think our midfield, Joe Allen, Aaron Ramsey, phenomenal players, but fitness is a bit of a question mark. If Joe Allen's missing the first game anyway against the USA, Aaron Ramsey, he is an absolute diamond. I don't know where we'd be without him, but
Mm.
again, he hasn't played that much football in the last couple of years, and injuries are a bit of a question mark. But yeah, I agree with you. There are some real talented boys on that pitch that I think can do some damage.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you. And in terms of the attack, there's some really good attacking talent there. Defensively, I mean, how under Rob Page, how do you kind of set up?
We normally go 5 back, 3 centre halves, 2 wing backs. So we'll have like Ben Davis, Joe Roden, Chris Mepham normally, 3 centre halves, and then we'll have Nico Williams and Connor Roberts fullbacks. I think that would be our strongest defence. It's the one we're most familiar with as well. But again, 1 or 2 injuries there. I don't know. I think depth could be a bit of a struggle, but I'm optimistic that we can get out the groups and really, make a good account of ourselves, because I think as a nation, that's what we're expecting. We hope to get out the group at least. I think anything less than that would be not so much as disappointment, but we'll think like, we really should be doing more. But
it'll be an opportunity missed, considering how long it's been.
And I think getting out the group, then I think anything on would be a bonus. I just hope we make a good account of ourselves, because we did it in the Euros. We all know what happened in 2016. I don't even think I can explain how that happened, really. I just think, the spirit we had and everything was just spot on that tournament. And I think everything went our way. Bale and Ramsey were just phenomenal. And I really, really hope we can repeat it again. But, I'm going to be a bit more grounded this time.
Fair enough. That was going to be my next thing as well. Coming into that, obviously, what happened in 2016 with the Euros, and again, I think you were the Europeans' favourite team. I think it was 2020. I'd say it was Denmark because of what happened with Christian Eriksen. And I think in 2016, you guys were with that kind of that golden team. And as somebody that's like seen it with Leicester, it must be a really weird experience where everybody going, "We're rooting for you and we're all coming for you." Because I've had that other fans say that to me, and it's really nice, but it's like I'm really not expecting that at the same time.
I kind of felt like that with Leicester when they won when they were going to win the league. I got no real affiliation to Leicester whatsoever, but when they were going on that run, I remember they beat Man City like 3-1 in the Etihad or something. I think Vardy scored 2 or 3, and I remember after that game,
Robert Huth got 2 and Mahrez got 1.
Oh, was it? I can't remember the actual scorers, but I remember the game.
I've literally got them all on a mug in downstairs, because that season's just special to me.
Brilliant, yeah. But no, I remember that game was the game that you guys were considered maybe a challenger for the title, and certainly in our lifetime, I've never really seen that happen, and I was kind of like, yeah, go on, like. I'm kind of supporting Leicester here. I'd love them to do it. And then I remember that game against Tottenham-Chelsea when Hazard scored that goal, and I just thought I was landed for them. I really was. But yeah, going back to it, Euro 2016. Yeah, I think we were everyone's second team that tournament, because everyone loves an underdog. We went into that tournament not really expecting a massive amount, and next thing you know, we're out the groups. Top the group. Play Northern Ireland, very cagey game, but somehow come away with it, and then Belgium, that was just one of the best nights of my life, 3-1 against Belgium with some of the players they had at the time. It was just, I couldn't believe what was happening. And semi-final then against Portugal, Ramsey and Davis out. I think that was the massive key for that game. I'm not going to go and be one of those people that was like, oh, if they were playing, we would have won. Yeah. But, if we were playing, we would have won. If they were playing, we would have won.
But at the same time, you have that belief in your team, and when that happens, you're like, it's not like you were playing against Portugal. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you've got to go, fair enough. And the thing is, you went out with your heads held high because you gave it everything. And that's at the end of the day, you go, do you know what, lads? It's been a great journey.
Oh yeah, for sure. After that game, there was, I was in Tenerife at the time. And, there were people out there just sort of so emotional, and, what we'd done for such a small nation. And it really, really was probably the pinnacle of Welsh sport. I'd go as far as to say it really, really was. Really, really was.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. And just on that as well, comparing this 2016 squad to this squad coming into this World Cup, how do you think they compare?
Well, it's a much younger squad this time round. We had a lot of players like Joe Ledley and them back then that were towards the back end of their careers.
Oh,
Um, and I'd say now we've got a much, much better squad on paper. But
yeah. Mhm.
like we just touched on with England, that doesn't always translate to better results. So, we touched on a couple of the players there. I think the squad is very, very different. But I think going forward, we're in a very, very good place in the future. We've got a lot of youngsters coming through in the youth as well. Chris Popper from Leicester, he's in the Welsh under-19s. He looks a pretty good talent. We got Luke Harris, Jordan James. These boys are only 18, 17, 18, and they look a real, real talent. And we haven't really had that before. So, it's an exciting time to be a Wales fan. It really is.
Again, it's good. Again, it's good to hear as well from our perspective, especially with Chris Popov. I know he's been in our under 21s or under 23s, or again sometimes these players are so young they mix up a few at a time.
Yeah,
But I don't know if you could tell me anything about him, because I'm not gonna lie, I've not watched too much of him because it's hard to follow under 18s. I don't know about
Neither have I
yourself.
really. I've not seen a massive amount of him. I've seen clips here and there. I watched
Yeah,
a game the other day. I think it might have been the 19s, the under 19s for Wales against what was it? Gibraltar, someone like that. And they won like 8-1. And I think Popov's got a hat trick that game or something. But
jeez,
it's hard to tell, like you say, at this age. He's obviously got something. I mean, I remember he scored a free kick not so long ago for Leicester's academy or the under 21s, and it was phenomenal. But I wouldn't say he's quite a breakthrough player just yet, but he's one to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, and if it helps, he's at a great. And I know I'm biased, but he's at a great academy, and we're getting through. So Harvey Barnes come through there. We've got a phenomenal training ground.
Yeah,
With Harvey Barnes come through, Dewsbury Hall's come through,
yeah.
Luke Thomas recently. So we really do. It's not like Chelsea where they're like, yeah, we've got loads of academy players. They all just end up somewhere else
Ship them
anyway.
off on
Or
loan
like
somewhere.
like
Yeah,
Ampadu, great
yeah.
example.
Perfect
Just kind of
example.
like, you know more than myself, like just a player like this guy's talented, and then he just never happens, and this never comes to anything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Ampadu's a phenomenal example. I mean, he's a fantastic player, bags of talent, but he's been sitting on Chelsea's loan list for like 6 years, and it doesn't do them any good, does it? Regardless of what level you're playing at, you want to be playing, at a high level week in, week out.
Yeah, and then you can do things like, again, hopefully, and if he develops, represent your country, because at the end of the day, he's just sitting away. And again, that's another thing with Chelsea, just the amount of loan players they have, but just Ampadu on there as well. But
Yeah.
so again, one thing that I had is just mentioning as well is that, do you think other fans in general, mentioned a bit off camera, underrepresent or underrate Wales in this World Cup? Because again, I looked at your ranking, you're top 20, so you're 18th,
Yeah.
which is a high ranking.
Yeah, I don't know if underrate is the right word, but certainly we can surprise. I think I've been reading in the news and stuff. A lot of teams have written us off from the groups. People think it'll be like England, USA, England, Iran. I've not seen many.
England, Iran.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
heard that.
yeah. Honestly, I've not seen much in the press. Certainly, if you talk to anyone around here, Wales are going through every time, but in like British media, like we're not certainty to go through in people's books. So in that way, I guess kind of, yeah. But if you look at our group, I think it's the highest average FIFA World Ranking group of all in the whole World Cup. So in that regard, maybe so. But I don't know. I think since 2016, certainly people have started taking us a lot more seriously. Euro 2020, we made a good account of ourselves there as well. So yeah, I don't know if underrated is the right word, but I'd certainly say we're not a team to write off. I think that's a fair assessment.
Fair enough. I think so as well. And what I would, from my perspective as well, it would be like, right, there's two ways to look at it. Don't write us off, or I would always go, write us off and see what happens.
Yeah,
So that kind of like,
yeah,
so do you see what I mean? So instead of going,
yeah.
we're here to be messed with, it's more like, write us off and then we'll prove you wrong. And I think that mentality just gets a little bit more in the fans, but also in the players a little bit.
Everyone loves an underdog. I'd much rather go into the World Cup and everyone say, Wales aren't going to do anything, and then we prove everyone wrong, rather than be the type of team where, you know, like England have been in recent years, I guess, where people look at them and think, oh, these guys have got it, you know, the tournament's theirs, you know, more or less, you know, you can go all the way. And then, you know, you get knocked out in the round of 16 or something. You know, I'd rather be the underdog from the start, if you can see what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I've pretty much so out of all of them, I think you can answer this as well. Out of all the group matches, which are you most looking forward to as well?
The England game I'm most looking forward to, just because of the occasion. We don't get to play England very often, I must say, and we really haven't got a good record against you. I think the last time we beat you was 1984 or something. It's been a long time. We don't play very often, but, you know, there's been a couple of games, like 2011, I remember we had a game where we should have beaten you. The Euros, we should have beaten you, but these things happen. But England, as a Welsh fan, I would say England is the game I'm looking most forward to. But I think the USA game is the one that we're going to look at and think, right, this is the must win. You know, that's going to be the most tightly contested game. And I think the most important one, because, you know, if we get off to a good start, who knows what can happen. You know, I think when have England got USA? Is it second or third?
Friday. We have it on the Friday, I think.
Yeah, so
7:45.
That's right. We got Iran that day. So in a way, you could do us a favour, because if we can get 3 points against the USA, then you guys beat the USA as well. You know, we're in a really good place then, because if we get, you know, a point or 3 points against Iran, then maybe we can go into that last game against you guys with, you know, nothing riding on it. But like I said at the start, there's something that we're going to look to try and avoid going into that game with, you know, it's a must win. But either way, I have no doubt that we turn up regardless of the conditions of the game.
Yeah. And if there's one thing as well you've got to think of, one last thing to mention as well, could Iran be the dark horse of the group? I can't see it because I don't really know any Iranian players, but
yeah, same as me, to be honest. I probably couldn't name you many, if any, Iranian players, but I have seen a couple of people saying they have been, you know, dark horses. Like I just mentioned, I saw something on Sky the other day with Roy Keane, Gary Neville. They all, you know, thought Iran were going to do okay, but I don't know. I don't know about dark horses. I think I've seen a lot of people put us down as dark horses. Mind, I've seen a couple of things, people saying that we could surprise, but I don't know. Really, it's hard to say, isn't it? Dark horses. Like everyone thought Euro 2020 Turkey was going to be a dark horse, and they had one of the worst results of all. You know, they were terrible. So it's really, really hard. But I do love it when a dark horse does come through. Like you look at Euro 2020, Denmark, for example. You know, like you say, everyone's second favorite team almost. And when your nation goes out, that's what you're kind of looking for, I guess, is second team to support. And everyone loves a dark horse, like I say. So I don't know. Iran, don't know much about them. I know they're a very defensive team. The last couple of games they've had in the build up to the World Cup, there's not been many goals conceded. I think they're pretty rock solid at the back. But I'm just hoping it's not a cagey affair, you know, where it's a close game until right to the end or something. But I really don't know. I think it's going to be down to the day. I can't really point my finger as to where I'd put Iran anywhere, because I'm not really sure on how they play or who plays for them.
Yeah, fair enough. It's the same here, so I don't really know what to expect. I think one thing I was going to say with the group when it was drawn, what were your thoughts initially when you saw that group? You're like, that's a doable group, or was it more like, oh, we got England, let's see what happens?
Well, my very, very first thought was, of course, we've got England. That was my very first thought. But, you know, when you look at it with more, you know, when you sift through the group, you really, I thought to myself, God, that is a tough group. I was looking at some of the other groups, you know, in the tournament, and I thought, you know, looking at everyone's group, ours is the toughest, because those, you know, England, you know, as we all know, by far and away, probably the best team in the group. Yeah, probably the best team in the group. But then the other three teams, I think, is very, very difficult to sort of place them second, third, and fourth. I think a lot of the teams in the groups you could sort of predict first and second for sure. But I think this is one of the only groups where you'd look at Wales, USA, and Iran and be like, God, I really don't know which one's going to finish where, because you'd obviously expect England to finish first. But no, I think first impression was definitely, oh yeah, we got England again, great. But you know, that's something we're looking forward to. It's not like a hindrance. But on a more serious note, I would have said you know, the group was probably the toughest of the groups we could have got. But I'm just happy either way we're in the tournament. You know, I don't think we're in too much of a position to, you know, pick and choose where we play. But I'm just so proud and happy to be there. I would have taken any team, really.
Fair enough. No, it's great to hear. Great to hear. I think one thing as well, just to finish on, but what would you say the ambitions are for you? Would it just be to get out of the group, or to see how far, like the sky's the limit kind of thing?
Realistically, I think getting out the group would be a really good first target. And like I said earlier, I think if we do manage to get out the group, I think it's just to make a good account of ourselves, just enjoy it. Because, you know, when Wales enjoy their football, you know, anything can happen. We've put on some phenomenal performances, especially in Cardiff. And I know this is going to be a different kettle of fish out in Qatar and whatever, but when we enjoy our football, same goes for any team, any nation. When you're enjoying your football, anything can happen. And I think once you click and find your way, and you know, I just think anything really could happen. But realistically, I'd say getting out of the group is our main aim. And like I say, anything there on is a bonus, really. You know, see how it goes.
Fair enough, fair enough. And I think one thing as well, I've just realised again, you were mentioning a tough group. I just realised that like the USA is in again. USA is in 16th, then you're in 19th, then Iran's in 20th. I didn't realise how close, because I don't know a single Iranian player.
Yeah,
I didn't realise how close that was.
It is, yeah, and you know,
England.
I don't think FIFA World Ranking. Yeah,
oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's definitely anyway.
Who's top? Is it Brazil?
Just to bring that back up, Brazil, then Belgium.
Yeah. See, well, Belgium. We played them in Cardiff, and Belgium hate playing against us because we have a really, really good record against them, and they're second in the rankings. So I'm not the type of person to look at the rankings and think, oh, that's definitely where they, you know, how good they are. I think it's very like subjective on regions and stuff, isn't it? But
yeah, and how well you've done in Euros and the equivalent continental cups and things like that.
That's right. Yeah, but our group is very, very close knit, and I think, like I just said, I saw a stat the other day that I think out of all the groups in the World Cup, ours is the most like. It's the highest average FIFA World Ranking group, and you know that's great because you know a couple of years ago, before Gary Speed, we were like 114th or something, and now we're in the top 20. We were in the top 10 in Euro 2016. So, you know, like I said, since Gary Speed came in and changed the culture of, you know, who we are. You know, Welsh football has just been an absolute joy to follow. And, you know, because we did have some very, very dark times. We've missed out on World Cups and Euros so many times with, you know, like a penalty miss or, you know, like a 0-0 draw or something. But I'm just so glad now that we can enjoy the tournament and hopefully, like I say, get out the group and make a good account of ourselves.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think, well, I say best of luck for the rest of the group as well, because I think it's going to, as you were saying, it's going to be a tough group in a good way, because you don't want to be like, it's easy, it's an easy celebration. Make it work, make it worthwhile. I think again, the fact that you got England, as bad as it sounds, that could be the match you go, or it could be we managed to beat England and we finished top of that group. Again, that we wouldn't be able to live that down.
I think we'd have a national day off or something. But yeah, on seriously though, I think good luck to England as well. Definitely. I think, like I said earlier on, I think you've got some very good players that I'm looking forward to seeing international level as well. But yeah, good luck to you as well. Looking forward to the game, obviously.
Yeah.
I will be watching probably the majority of the England games. Probably hoping the result goes the other way, but I'll still be watching regardless. But yeah, good luck.
You have to back your own country, of course. But yeah, apart from, again, appreciate you coming on, Niall. Really, really appreciate it. We'll try and do something for the post-match. I'm not sure what's happening in terms of when it is and things. I'm just taking it literally one match at a time at the moment. Yeah. But again, if everybody in the live stream, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I have asked Niall to leave his social, because don't worry, he's just come on for the love of it. So thank you very much for that. We'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.